Hi, and welcome to the Brisbane Professionals Podcast. This is a podcast brought to you by SMS Law, going through the legal secrets that will benefit you and your clients, as well as having a little bit of fun as we go. This podcast is designed to educate you on, number one, complicated legal terms that we will explain in an easy to understand manner. Two, to understand why you do things from a legal perspective in your business. And three, to help you develop a plan for the future success of your business. Our mission is to help empower small to medium-sized businesses around the world to get access to legal advice so that they can help build their communities and make the world a better place. Did you know that any business owner is on average 7 months away from losing everything? That is the average time that it takes from a successful business to fold when an aspect of their business is not set up correctly. This podcast is all about empowering you and your business with knowledge and tools to ensure that that doesn't happen to you or to your clients. Let's begin, shall we?
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Brisbane Professionals Podcast. My name is Craig Mason from SMS Law, and I have with me Jeremy Stretton from SMS Law. Say hello to everyone, please, Jeremy.
Hi everyone, hope you're having an awesome day.
Indeed. So this podcast, as I said, it's the Brisbane Professionals Podcast. It's brought to you by SMS Law, and we're going through the legal secrets that will benefit you and your clients. And we also like to have a bit of fun here on the show as well. So today we're going to be talking about property. Jeremy, what have you got to talk about this morning?
Yeah, so I just wanted to run a lawyer joke past you, if that's all right, Craig.
Okay, yep, happy to hear it. What do you got?
So what do you call a smiling, courteous person at a lawyer convention?
I don't know, Jeremy, what do you call a smiling, courteous person at a lawyer convention?
The caterer.
Very good. Yes, they are always smiling. Indeed. All right. So over to the content of today's show. We're talking about three top things to look at when you're buying a property, and specifically, we are in Brisbane, Queensland, so it's sort of towards Queensland property more so than anything else, but the principles still apply to any property that you might be looking at purchasing. So, Jeremy, what's the first thing you should look at when buying a property?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. The first one is really, really important, and that's what entity are you buying the property in. So, depending on what you're purchasing and why you're purchasing the property, whether it's a home or an investment property, you got to look at your current position and work out what entity is the best one to buy it in. Do you buy it in your own name? Do you set up a company? Do you set up a trust? There are many ways to be right, and you need to get advice from your professionals, so your lawyers and your accountants, to get the right entity and make sure that you're setting yourself up properly to protect your asset and also to get the best tax position. Craig, do you want to do number two?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at buying a property, there are a number of searches that are available on that property that you should do. So a lot of times we might see someone that's sort of trying to do the limited searches they possibly can. When you're buying a property, and I don't need to tell you this, you're spending a large amount of money. So, it could be up to 500,000, it could be millions. And when you're sort of looking at trying to reduce costs on searches, we would say that that's not the time to be reducing the costs, and you should do as many searches as appropriate, seek the advice, etc., etc. You want to be making sure that you're doing a title search to ensure that the contract that you have with the seller is actually the person that owns the property. If there's any encumbrances on there, mortgages, caveats, etc., etc. Copy of the plan to make sure that there's no things in there that you need to be aware of in terms of where the property is and how it is, the survey plan, those sorts of things, to make sure it's actually the same property. Council search to make sure there's no approvals that are outstanding, anything like that. You'll get the rates and those sorts of things. They need to be paid at settlement, so make sure you do the council searches. As I said, that will have approvals in there as well. They might have put a pool in that doesn't have the final approval, for instance. So you want to make sure all of those things are up to date. And then final one is the contaminated land search. So you want to make sure that the land you're about to buy is not contaminated in some way. So important to do those searches. They're all pretty common sense ones. And when you're spending a large amount of money, we'd definitely suggest you do these types of searches before you buy the property. Jeremy, the third one, which kind of flows into the searches from some sense, encroachments.
Yeah, so encroachments are really important to make sure that you've actually checked to make sure when you're buying a property that there are no encroachments over the property. So what is an encroachment? People listening to this podcast are probably aware of what it is, but I'll just explain it briefly. It's when you've got a survey plan, you do a survey plan and there are boundaries on the property. If part of the property, the next door property or the property you're buying goes over the boundary line, then that's an encroachment. And when you're buying a property, a lot of people don't realize that if you do a search or a survey plan and get a surveyor to actually check the boundaries and make sure there are no encroachments, if you do one before you enter into the contract, then the seller is liable to get that fixed. But if you do it afterwards, the buyer can actually be liable to have that fixed. And it really depends on the terms of the contract, talking about the REIQ contract. So if you're not sure, especially in the high density areas of Brisbane, like Paddington and Bulimba and Red Hill, those kind of areas, you might want to just check and get your clients to check before they go and buy the property that there are no encroachments. It's pretty obvious if there are some or if there might be some, so it's good to go and get a surveyor to do that and check that to make sure that there are no encroachments over the property. I think that's it for today, Craig.
Absolutely. That's our 3 top things for buying a property. Thank you for tuning in today and listening to the Brisbane Professionals Podcast. Please jump on and rate and review the podcast wherever you might be getting the podcast from. If you also like to jump on Facebook or any other social media, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, so it's SMS Law. Or you can also use LinkedIn and search for us in that platform. If you like, for instance, the Facebook page, then you can keep up to date with other updates that we put out through that medium. So that's the SMS Law Facebook page. Jeremy, anything else you wanted to mention before we kick things off and finish up for today?
Not at all. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks everyone.